My name is Dale Lutz. I'm one of the two co-founders of Safe Software.
Yeah, and I'm Don Murray. Everybody remembers me as the guy with the great hair, and so there I am. Yeah. So yeah, on the agenda, we're just going to do a quick year in review, looking at FME 2020, and then some of the themes that for FME 2021, and then of course just going through a really quick run through of the major new features for FME, and then with time we'll go over some Q&A. Yeah.
Yes, so the third bullet is kind of like unwrapping the presents on Christmas morning, isn't it, Don?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
so what happened in 2020, Dale?
They tell us that FME 2020 was the most downloaded release ever. I mean, I think people just stayed home and downloaded a release every time they had a chance. So thank you so much for all of your support throughout the year. We were very proud and still are of FME 2020, and it was our best release ever until today. But anyway, it was great. So 17 features that were voted up in the ideas forum made their way into our new release. So we're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, the other thing we're pretty proud of is the FME platform is recognized by Gartner as one of the top 20 global data integration tools in their Magic Quadrant. So we're super excited about that. The other thing is that we're really seeing spatial data importance grow across the enterprise. And that is indicated by things like Snowflake, who recently added geospatial capabilities to their database. They approached us to add support for their database, and also Google. They added spatial to what database was it again there, Dale? That they added spatial? BigQuery. That's right. Yeah. So, and this is just showing again that spatial data or geospatial data is growing in importance across the enterprise. So that's really exciting.
And I know we're not really talking about it lots today because we've got a webinar in the future, but the one thing that those two particularly have in common is that they're both cloud-based databases as well. Yeah. And so you're going to see that we've done a lot of work around high data volumes and also some formats related to that. That's a bit of foreshadowing. So watch that.
Absolutely. And drum roll. Okay.
The moment everyone out there has been waiting for, probably the most significant part of the release, I'm joking, is our new splash screen.
Absolutely, and you can see it sort of is a foreshadowing of the the FME World Fair of Data, and you can see the Zipsters. He's completely freaked out. He's not a big roller coaster guy, and this FME 2021 is faster than ever. And we use many cameras to try to get that roller coaster to look like it was frozen, and it didn't matter how fast the shutter speed, Dale. It just always looked blurry. So, and who are those guys in the back there?
They're making their debut. That's our Transformers. So they all have a bit of character, you can see, and you'll be seeing them around. But I noticed that the Zipster's lid is almost tipping off, so that's kind of a bit scary.
I know. The Lizard's like me; he loves roller coasters, so he's just, you have to drag him off. And
bring it on, he says. Bring it on. So anyway, we're having one of the things, if you're not used to us, is that we like to have at least a little bit of fun. We take our work extremely seriously, but we know that the topic of data transformation might not always be the most scintillating, but we do find ways through it all to have some fun. And I mean, a big theme of FME 2021 is speed, and you'll see that when we get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here for the fun though, just in case anybody wants to know. Yeah. So our theme, of course, the things that really, describe the platform really well with FME is, you connect to one or more systems, then you transform the data, and then you build automation workflows. And in 2021, we've pushed them all to new heights. So super exciting. Yeah,
exactly. So we always start by talking about what we connect to, because that is still the core thing. And one of the key value propositions of FME is pretty much, you name it, we'll connect to it. And this year is no exception.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's safe. Our vision is really clear. We want to bring the power of FME to more and more systems. So with each release, we extend the reach of the platform. And so you're going to see many different new places that you can bring the power of FME across your enterprise.
We say here 13 new systems. It's sort of hard to keep track of the number. Yeah. Basically, it's lots. And so we'll go through that. But we don't even, actually, this year we didn't even try to count the total number anymore. So it's kind of.
No, that graph, it's become like the hockey stick, so we just don't count it anymore. And of course, why do we do that? We know that the more systems we connect to, the more value we bring to you, so you can use FME to solve ever-growing number of data challenges across your organization. So it's really as simple as that.
Yeah, we like to say that we want you to be able to maximize the value of data, and that's really cuts across all that we do actually. And so
Yeah.
hopefully you'll agree that we've upped the ante in FME 2021.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, and Apache Parquet, this is one of them. This is a new high-speed data, transport mechanism, I'm going to say, format. And it's like a better CSV. And we're going to do a whole webinar, upcoming webinar on how you can use FME to do cloud migration. We're seeing a lot of that happening now with the move to more and more of organizations having a large portion of their staff being remote. And so that's coming up. I think it might even be this month, but don't quote me on that. But it is up on our website. Yeah, exciting one.
So one of our key customers came to us with I think a 36 million row Parquet file, and that's a big part of their regular workflow. And so the team sat down to really make that go fast. And as we hit here, it's a better CSV because there's null support, there's data type support. You can do kind of a sharding thing so that you split the big file into lots of little pieces as you're creating it. And there's actually compression built in as well. So it's got a lot of levers to pull, and a little bit of foreshadowing, Don. It even can do things that you love from XML, lists and nested structures.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
We got a bit of more work to do on those parts, but for today, certainly it is a much better CSV, and looking forward to see what all of you do with that.
Yeah.
So CCAN is one of many open data portal systems that are out there and in use. And by popular demand from some customers, we added a connector to go and put stuff up and bring stuff down from CCAN. So that's now in the, it's actually on FME Hub. It's been there for a little bit, but its formal release is today. And we are also adding yet another way of working with CCAN at the row level. The CCAN connector works at the file level. At the row level, the data store writer is coming soon. So we're going to be rounding up all of our support for open data portals in the next couple of months. I can't remember when we said we're going to schedule that, but that's also coming up.
Yeah, RabbitMQ, this is part of our data streaming support that you're going to hear about next. I love the lizard there wearing his bunny ears, so that's kind of cool. And so this is just part of our whole data streaming initiative with FME 2021. So
yeah, we got more on that coming in this one too. This one was breaking down. This slide was added after I went to bed last night, so you better talk about it.
Yeah, that's right. So this was just added to the FME Hub, and Azure Event Hubs is yet another streaming service, a way of embracing high data volumes, and FME supports that. So you're going to see, with FME and the whole Connect, when it comes to data streaming, now we support connections to, the Azure Event Hubs, the AWS, IoT, Google, so Kafka, RabbitMQ, and the list just keeps going on. So that no matter where your data streams are coming from, FME can be there to process them and solve new challenges.
Yes. BIM 360 Docs, that's been up there since Autodesk University, but we're kind of formally making some fuss today. So if you're an Autodesk customer, give that a spin. We think we've hit the main things that people might want to work into FME workflows, and do let us know. I know that the team has actually got a questionnaire and other things that they follow up with folks that are using that, and excited to see what all of you do with that.
Yeah.
On the geodatabase side, we are pulling off a bit of dark sorcery in that FME will adjust to whatever ArcGIS product you have installed on your computer. And if you have all of them installed, there's a way to pick which one you want to use. And so in particular, there's a kind of annotation that's only available in ArcGIS Pro. And we do support that fully in FME 2021. So if you only have ArcGIS Pro installed, there's nothing to do. If you have, I think by default, we will go with Pro if you've got several, but otherwise you can manually adjust that. And this is only relevant for file geodatabase and enterprise geodatabase.
Right. Yeah.
Really, we do all kinds. This is sort of a summary slide. Under the covers, we do lots and lots of work staying on top of all the Esri product suite. I don't think we call out ArcGIS Online, but I know that there was changes and enhancements to that as well as Portal. So give that all a spin. If there's anything we're missing, do let us know.
Yeah.
And CityEngine, another Esri one. And so in this case, Esri made available kind of a runtime if you're a CityEngine customer that could be called. And so we've integrated that with FME. And so the idea is you go to CityEngine and author your rules that can do amazing stuff. But the most common is you give it 2D building footprints and it makes you the city of Paris afterwards. So that kind of thing, you give it those rules, and now you can incorporate those into workflows that happen kind of not interactively, just automatically. So that's a package. I checked yesterday, it was uploaded or updated yesterday. I might have been there for a few days, but there's a fresh one there. So give that a spin if you're a CityEngine customer.
Yeah, and no release is complete without more work being done by the XML team and improving our OGC support. So on this one, we've added OGC WFS3, OGC WMTS, and there's OGC API features 1.0, which is actually WFS 3.0, but we have WFS 3.0 there because it's a bit confusing for some folks. And a late change was simply renaming OGC API features 1 to have brackets WFS 3.0, because it's very different than the previous WFS. But you know, you rest assured that FME supports WFS 3.0. And again, as you use it, let us know, you know, what you'd like to see and your experiences. Share those with us. Yeah.
I know it might be sensitive, Don, but does the new one use JSON instead of XML?
Yes. But I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up. But okay. JSON is XML's baby brother, so it's still in the family. Yeah.
Still in the family. Good.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of exciting, Don. You want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so this is we've added the USD writer, which is the native format in the iOS devices. It was developed by Pixar, and with this, with FME, you can write USD. If your target is to go to an iOS device, then you simply choose the compression so that you go to USDZ or USDZ, depending on where you are in the world. And now these files can be viewed, they're the native file for iOS. So now it enables us to embrace the entire AR platform on iOS. And of course, FME AR is soon going to support this payload as well. So, so we're really excited about that. And this work continues on, and there's lots of exciting things coming in the Apple ecosystem on AR. And I'm sure on the Android platform, they're probably not too far behind as well.
I know a lot of people, when they saw this slide come up, they wondered if this is what the US Federal Reserve is using to print money. No, this does not print US dollars. It's a file format from Pixar.
Although the US government is printing a lot of money, I do think that. Yeah. So, yeah, so we talk about this, yeah.
Yeah, the mobile side. Actually, it's interesting. This is the only slide where we talk about the pipe replacer, but that's a worthy new transformer. But on FME Mobile, we've been experimenting and pushing the envelope. All of this stuff can be done with even FME 2020, most of it, but the new pipe thing is brand new. But yeah, you can create models, reference them on iOS. Android work is underway right now. And I know, Don, you were quite impressed, as was I, with all this labeling stuff too.
Yeah, the way of labeling things in real time. So if you're a utility and you have it on your device, you know, the data is streamed from FME Server. You can just use your phone, look at a poll, it'll give you all the information. So, you know, which is just a huge productivity improvement. You don't now have to look on a map, figure out where you are, and then somehow try to pull the attribution from the infrastructure. You can just see it as you look through your mobile device. So, you know, really exciting. And this whole space of AR is super exciting. And the one thing that it needs to drive all this is data. Yeah. So
and so that's where that pipe replacer comes in. You give us any 3D or 2D pipes, and we will create a wrapper around that and do all the nice things as it goes around corners and so on. And Dimitri invented this portable hole technique, so you can basically create the illusion that you're looking into the ground and seeing those pipes. And so it's pretty exciting. Don, I sent you a rumor from Mac Rumors saying that Apple is going to have AR contact lenses by 2030. Did you catch that?
Wow, it might be a reason for me to start wearing my contact lenses again. Yeah. So how about the glasses? Are they going to have glasses?
That's coming sooner. But the sad thing is, it looks like there's no headphone jack on those contact lenses. So so anyway, and lastly, on the FME Data Express, which is a client, a thick client, I guess, or a mobile client for FME Server apps. That's got an updated user interface. Part of our big effort at SAFE is our design team, and we've been adding staff and capacity there. And one of the places is to is unifying the look of our stuff across the whole platform, but also on mobile. So that's mobile. Now we whip over to transform. So,
yes, and the keyword there I think is speed. Speed's a big theme for sure. Yeah.
we've been feeling the need for speed. Okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, we want you all to have an enjoyable experience when you're using the product, because if it's fun, you'll get more done, you'll be more inventive, and that's really at the core of it. And whenever we fail to deliver there, we really want to work hard so that we basically are always delivering on that.
Yeah, yeah. So in FME 21, we made many UI enhancements, both on that, across the platform, to make it easier for you to build your workflows. And you're going to see some examples coming up soon about just the different, the dramatically improved speed of processing things. Data volumes are only going one way, and that's up. And so at SAFE, we're doing all we can so that you can process the data at scale. Yeah.
One of our product managers told me how really one of the brand promises of FME is that we want to save you time. And wherever in the product we don't deliver on that, it's kind of like we're letting you down. And so we've been working so hard. I actually, Don, on the weekend was looking back at some of the kickoff plans for some of the massive initiatives that we had. They're 5 years old, and we've been delivering enhancements over that whole time. But it really, in FME 2021, did the so-called Project Ludicrous finally really deliver. So we're going to be excited to show you some of those results right away here.
Absolutely, yeah. So what's this about, Dale?
Well, this has been in FME in some areas before, but we've expanded it in FME 2021. And this is the idea that if you are authoring with feature caching turned on, then when you go into the dialogues, we can know what's available in the data that you're working with and give you hints and help. So we can fish out names of attributes, we can fish out values, and you can work with it. This is the tester being shown. The big change in this release, that the very popular attribute manager, it's in the top couple in terms of usage. It also got the treatment, so you can expose attributes. I know you're an XML guy, Don, and sometimes it's hard to find the attributes, but now the attribute manager will have them for you.
Yeah, the XML flattener would love this, and we're going to work through all the transformers to make this happen. Yeah.
So very big deal there on the data aware side. This is probably the marquee feature on the UI. If you're in the business of making custom transformers or FME server apps, you now can build really nice dialogues so that you can have nesting of things, and you can basically build rich dialogues. And this is setting us up so that in the future, customers can build custom transformers with as rich dialogues as we have built right in the product. And eventually, server apps will have the full power of this too. It's going to take a little while to get all of this synchronized across the platform, but this sort of plants the flag and shows you where we're going.
Absolutely.
Oh, we're excited to say we support Proj 7, and just in time for me to notice that Proj 8 was released a couple days ago. So Don, what do you think about the name of the transformer?
I think we should just call it, I'm glad it's called just Proj. Otherwise we'd have Proj 4, Proj 5, Proj 6, Proj 7, and Proj 8 now. So
yeah. So that's the Proj is really the flagship open source coordinate conversion library and kind of the future on the open source side. And so we're supporting that fully. This last one, Proj 7, means you don't have to install all the grid shifts for the whole world. They are centrally stored, and then when you run, it downloads, and you can do your Japanese datum conversions without having to have made a decision when you installed FME.
Perfect. Yeah.
H3, well, we did a whole webinar on this, and if you like hexagons, that's worth tuning into. So, actually, Don, I think you've been working with this lately, haven't you?
Yeah, and for the World Fair, there's a big demo showing, pushing FME to the limits, and a great way to show what's being processed was to basically output the H3 hexagons as it's being done. So yeah, so really nice.
So in short, this is a library that Uber made available that gives you 16 levels of index of the whole world with hexagons at varying sizes, and makes it very fast to compute those and then to do a variety of operations. It can turn spatial computation into basically relational computation, so often used in big data situations as well. Check out the webinar and play with it if you want. You got to have your data in lat long if you're going to use it. which isn't too hard in FME.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and the big thing on server, of course, is FME Server streams. So what we've done is we've built a nice user interface on top of the streaming capability of FME. And so, you know, and the real strength of FME, of course, is no code. So you can build these streaming workflows as you would build anything else in FME. And because it's built on the same infrastructure as everything else FME, if you have a batch or an event-based workflow, and now you want to turn it into a server stream mode, it's really, really easy for that. And we've thought of things about how you can deploy if you have streams that are variable, where the data rate changes, or maybe the streams become quiet for a while and then super busy. And so, and again, we have another webinar coming up. Well, actually, we have 2 webinars at least. It might even be 3-parter. I'm a big fan of more than 2 parts, but anyway, that's a different story. And so, yeah, so we have all that coming up shortly. So that's exciting too. So now FME can do it all. It can do batch, transactional, and streams, and yeah. Good.
And there's even a kind of a new business model for licensing stuff from us that can work very well with streams as well. And I think we've got a slide on that coming up, don't we, Don?
We do. Yeah. Yep. Dynamic engines. That's right. Yeah.
On the engine side, it was so gratifying to see that work that the team had been doing for a long time just fits so naturally into this. So a new transformer made its debut called the Time Windower, and it creates time-based group IDs. And I was actually just working with Stuart yesterday, and it blows me away how powerful that thing is. And so you can basically attach an ID to features as they go by, and then you can do actions on groups of features based on that ID. And the other thing is we actually changed the UI a little bit to bring forward the group processing when you're using it and hide it when you aren't. But group processing is now a toggle that you can flip on. And of course, if you have old workspaces, they'll just do the right thing. If you have a new one that's collapsed by default, you open it up, you can flip it on. And then for a long time, we've had this idea of processed when group changes available on the group by mode. So if you know your data is in some kind of an order, you can help FME by clicking this, and then we can get rid of the data once the group changes. And this is necessary for these stream processing scenarios where the engine basically will never stop. This workspace really runs forever or until the system reboots. But if you want to get something done, you got to kick the data out whenever the group changes. And so we added, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's a great way to think about what streams are. They're unbounded data. So it's a reader that never, you can think of it as a reader or connector where the data never stops coming. And so, you know, for some workflows, all the processing's done at the end. If you had group by and then your groups were all a mess, then you could just not toggle that and it would do them all at the end. But for streams, you can't do that because the data never ends. And so that's the key there.
Yeah, and so the Python caller got the treatment, so it can now flush things if you wanted to use Python. If you do want to go to code, you can do that. The feature writer, so you can basically write a different file for every window ID if that was what you wanted to do, or you can actually use this to basically shut down and commit the transaction and start another one. So all these things are possible. It's a little subtle how they all interact, but it's beautiful, and we're looking forward to really showing you the whole thing in our webinar series. Don, I'll just lastly throw in, the feature holder even got a group processing.
Ooh, nice, yeah.
You want to hold features by group. When the group changes, then whoosh, it lets it out. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and of course, we're not done there either. So as you play with our streams, let us know what you would like to see. Yep. So what's this YMMV thing, Dale?
Your mileage may vary. We got a lot of very impressive numbers here. I won't promise you that for all of your scenarios, you're going to witness all of these changes to this extent, but we would be pretty shocked if anything ran slower, and I would not also be surprised if you'd be able to do better. Don, I just want to point out, who were the 2 gazoonies that must have wrote the spatial filter the first time?
Yeah, I think one of them is, you know, follically challenged now. So, but we won't reveal who they are. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, what were those guys doing that the team could make it 100 times faster? But well done on that one.
And I think this chart's actually very unfair because it doesn't compare with FME 2020.0. It compares with FME 2020.2, in which throughout the FME 2020 release, we're making things faster and faster. So and the shortest pathfinder is amazing because it basically it is multi-threaded now. So if you are running on a chip with 64 cores, it'll use them all, and if you're running one with 8 cores, it'll run on one. So that's another thing you're starting to see us do to be able to handle these large data volumes is multi-threading. So yeah.
Yeah, and things like the point and area overlay, that 3 times is just against FME 2020. If we go back to FME 2018 or 2017, it's drastically better. So, you know, again, all these, very proud of what's been done. I should point out the tester. You know, that's a pretty huge. That's what we call an order of magnitude better. So anyway, you know, an area on area overlayer. You know, that's been a guy that's had some speed issues in his past. So.
And Dissolver too. It's been speeding up for the last few releases. So yeah.
So anyway, very proud of what the team has done. We're going to catch our breath, and we know we still have more areas to attack. But the so-called Project Ludicrous looks like it's really paid some dividends.
So we should get people to get predictions on how much faster FME 2022 is going to be than FME 2021. You could have a you know, a contest going on there. Yeah.
Hold on, we're going to be kicking off something called Project Plaid. So we'll see. We're going to Plaid.
Yeah, I've never met a user who doesn't care about performance. So it's one thing that everybody cares about.
Yeah. All right, Don, let's talk about automation.
Automation, yeah. So this is FME Server. So so really what we're doing, and you're going to see the theme, data volumes are getting larger, data volumes are getting larger. So you just saw on the engine side what we're doing to do larger data volumes. And so with automation and server, we're enabling you to parallelize at a different level, at the engine level. And so part of that is starting to build the foundation. Well, we've actually been pretty far building the foundation for auto scaling. And so stay tuned for more information on that. And again, we've also added the ability for you to have extra control as you're building these automations, particularly when you're talking to external systems. So
yeah. So basically, we're going to be giving you amazing control and the ability to scale. So you're going to be able to tackle challenges like never before.
Yeah. So in FME 2020, you know, people would say, well, how much CPU, how much memory do I need for workspaces? When should I use dynamic engines? When should I, you know, add more engines, remove engines, and all these? And in the past, the only way to do that with FME Server was to really look at all your log files, which is horrifically painful. And so for 2021, we've changed the game there.
Yes.
Yeah. So now you're going to see job execution matrix. In fact, if you go look at your workspaces on FME Server 2021, for every workspace, you'll see how many times it was run, the average CPU time, the CPU density, which I call it, which is like percent CPU, and the amount of memory it used. So now every workspace has all these job metrics. And you'll also, again, on schedules, you'll see that. And in automations, you can see that, to the point that if you had the same workspace and automation being called more than once, you would see the statistics just for those different automations. And so it's really, you know, you can also look at queue metrics, see how busy queues are, how much time's in the queue. And again, that's really important for auto scaling, because if you look at a queue and it has 100 jobs, well, you may end up, if those jobs are really small, you may end up bringing more processing power online, only to realize that all the jobs are done. But if you know those 100 jobs have 5 hours of work, then now you can start to make better decisions on when to bring stuff up.
Yeah.
I think the FME Server, I think FME Platform 2021 just went live, Dale. Do you know how I know?
How?
The sun just came out. The sun just came out. So I apologize if it's blinding off my forehead, but anyways, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, I just talked about this, but this is all the job metrics. And so now this is collected by FME Server. So now you no longer have to, you know, look at log files and things like this. So this is huge for users, and you can see all the information there that's being collected. Yeah.
Back in the days when we actually were able to do FME World Tour, I was at one where someone gave a talk about how they used the old REST API to get some of this stuff out. Yes. And afterwards, I would say they were the most popular person at the whole presentation. They were basically almost trampled. People came down wanting to talk to them. So this is definitely going to be a popular addition.
Absolutely. And so how have we used this? We've used this to define a thing called queue control, where now you can assign jobs to various queues based on the job metrics. So, and this is great. You might be an organization that has 8 machines, and what you wouldn't want to do is have 8 machines with 8 engines on 8 machines. You wouldn't want all the large jobs to randomly end up on one machine. So you could dedicate one engine for each machine for large jobs, and then have them do a queue. And then FME Server with the rules will use the previous history of what that job looked like when it's submitted to make sure that it's submitted to the right queue, so that now you can really distribute your load across machines to maximize your computation infrastructure. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this, as you probably can gather. We've also done it with engine assignment. So now when an engine connects to the server, rules decide which queue the engine serves. And so those are the two things. And again, we're not done there. You're going to see more in 2021.x. Ooh, I gotta watch out for those years. It's really getting.
Yes. You know, Don, I know that in your youth you were a big parallel processing guy, and it must feel good to see this coming home after all these years.
Yeah, I did my master's in computing science and parallel processing, and so now, you know, a few years, it's just a couple of years after I graduated university, it's coming to fruition. So I'm excited.
Yeah. It's amazing.
But again, this whole idea of multiple engines and the multi-threading is really going to take FME to a level where we can process just massive data quality. So now the question won't be, can FME process it? It's going to be always based on how much hardware do you have, and so super exciting. Yeah. So
yeah, I think the slide just did an animation. So there's an and or an or inside of the rule, and you can kind of.
That's right. And there's job and engine assignment. Yeah, and there's a webinar coming up where we're going to show all this and give demos and things like that. Yeah. And the World Fair, if you come to the World Fair, you're going to see an FME server being run that has more engines than you can possibly imagine. Well, maybe not possible, maybe not imagine. I can imagine some pretty big numbers. But anyway, it's a massive server running in the cloud that can do scary stuff. Yeah.
Is that in our tent of wonders, Don?
It's in the tent of wonders, absolutely. It's called Pushing FME to the Limits, and we're going to talk. We have a good story to tell about, how we made that come to pass. Yeah.
You know, I see this, and I just have to throw in one little thing that Don, right in this example, is showing the peak memory usage. Some of these transformers we gave the speed updates to not only are way faster, but they actually take way less memory. So the point and area overlayer, for examples I was doing, was taking about a ninth of memory as it used to, a seventh or a ninth. Wow. So that really helps, because a lot of customers have called FME the ferocious memory eater in the past. Yeah. It's no longer that ferocious in FME 20.
Yeah, and usually that's a trade-off you make often in an algorithm. You'll make CPU versus memory, and to be able to make both better at the same time, that's really huge. Yeah.
And that's going to screw up these job metrics, Don, because all of a sudden everything's going to use less memory.
That's right. And so, and that's a great point, Dale. So when users can decide when they want to reset the job metrics for a particular workspace, because they know when the edits they've made are significant, and so then you want to throw, because if a workspace has been run 10,000 times, you don't want to wait until the metrics move, because it's an average, and so you can say, I know it's different, I'm going to reset it, and away they go. Yeah.
I didn't know that, so I'm glad I threw that throwaway line in there. I learned something.
I forgot that until you mentioned it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, manual trigger. This is a great one. We've had customers who they build an automation, but it runs on a scheduled time that's determined by the user. So it could be, maybe you have fire season, and every once in a while you build this big automation to distribute work, reports out to the field for the people fighting the fire. But of course, there's no set time. And so now with a manual trigger, you can easily build a workflow and just click the manual trigger, and it will run. And it's also useful for debugging. But the main reason we did it was to support these, these ad hoc automations where the trigger is a human. So yeah.
This flirts with something that I know we won't talk about, Don, but I can see where the direction is going on this.
Yes.
Next slide.
Next slide before we give it away. Yeah, guaranteed delivery. And what this one is about is you might have you might be pushing data to an external system, and you know that external system every once in a while is not available. And so now what you can do for an external action is specify a retry, how many times you're going to retry, what the retry looks like, the maximum retry. You can also do it for workspaces, because you might have a workspace that's updating a database at the end of a job, and periodically that database is being rebooted or it's undergoing maintenance. And so now in your automation, you can define that we're going to retry until this workspace can can be successful. So that's really, really useful. And that's a big deal for automations now, this ability to, it's called guaranteed delivery, but of course you specify the maximum time. And it could be years, you can specify years, but realistically, if a system's not up in a certain amount of time, and how much time, that depends. And so we give the user the ability to configure that.
So Don, what is this? I noticed this, this must be related, this little icon I'm circling with the sort of recycle symbol on it?
Yes, you can connect that and create loops if you really want to. Yeah.
Is that what that is? Wow, cool.
Yeah, this one the name confuses everybody. Generic directory. I've had more questions on this, but so the screenshot really helps explain what it is. It's like Active Directory, but it's called generic directory. And it is an authentication capability we've added to FME. So if your organization is using generic directory, just like some organizations use Active Directory now with FME Server, you can use that and configure it. And then all your authentication is done through the generic directory service, similar to how it's done through Azure Directory. And a little bit of foreshadowing that there's going to be a third one added in this year that is, the last part of it is Active Directory, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So generic directories, that's sort of like no name directory, Don?
That's right.
Okay, well, I think that wraps up that tour. So we covered off all the things we can connect to so that no matter where your data is, we're able to get at it and you can work with it so you can maximize it. On the transform side, some things to help you when you're authoring transformations, as well as pumping that data through quickly. And Don, how would you wrap up the automation? What would you say?
Yeah, again, there we're giving you more levers so that you can use automation, bring it to bigger and bigger challenges, both in terms of scaling and as well as fine control for retries and and things like that. And again, there's more. We're not done there yet. Lots of exciting work coming in this over this year. Yeah.
Yes. So
yeah, some trends we're seeing on the procurement side is, and we thought we'd throw this in there just to so that make sure everybody knows that these exist, was on the subscriptions. So we have many that are targeted at industries, and then we have a generic one. And it's a great way if you know you're growing your FME platform or you want flexibility to change what your deployment looks like, then just contact us and we can talk about that. We did do a webinar a while back on this as well. So, but it's just a trend we're seeing, and more customers are deciding to go this route. So we're pretty excited about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for many situations, it's an extremely compelling value proposition.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, of course, dynamic engines. Dale hinted about this. And in the past with streams, people would, sometimes you have a stream which isn't that active, or it might have really busy periods. And so the standard engine cost for having it dedicated, because a stream requires at least one engine be dedicated, and to have a standard engine sitting there that is processing very few features, it didn't make sense from a business standpoint. Now with dynamic engines, you only pay for the CPU time that is used. So if the engine's sitting there connected on a stream and no data is coming, it's not doing any processing, then you're not paying for having that engine connected there. So that's really great, because sometimes you do have streams that are variable. Maybe in the middle of the day you get one event coming in per minute or per hour, and then all of a sudden you get these big bursts. And so then you're kind of stuck in never land, because if it's really always slow, then you could use automations with an event-based trigger. And if it's always busy, then you would use the streaming. But for these ones with dynamic engines now, you can always use streaming, knowing that you're getting the most efficient way to solve the problem. So, and dynamic engines enable all that. They're also great for scaling. We're scaling up massive servers, and again, to manage these peaks, or maybe you got one-time big data loads in your thing. And again, standard engines, you just wouldn't use standard engines. And so, but the capability is exactly the same. Sometimes people say, what is the difference in capability between dynamic and standard? Nothing. They're exactly the same. They're exactly the same engine underneath. They're just returning a bit different information. Yeah.
Boy, Don, I remember being at a conference with you probably 15 years ago, and a customer from New Mexico came to us wanting exactly this functionality. And I know it's been on our board for years and years, and getting all the pieces in place finally they're there. So it feels great to see this come to market, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and dynamic engines and the job metrics information is related, because then you can look for jobs that have very low CPU percentage, and those are the ones that information is useful in deciding whether you want to use dynamic or standard. So yeah.
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 Okay, look at that.
Oh, wow, look at that. I got all excited, Dale. So there you go. So yeah, so it's all about enabling you to build new solutions, and some of the new cloud-based things like Kubernetes, and you're going to hear about serverless and things like that. That's all about dynamic engine. It really is the way to deploy, for these future looking platforms.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we talked about this too.
I did. So yeah, so this is just for a refresher, so if people forget what that bald guy said, now they'll know. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and is it ready, Don?
It's ready. The sun is out, so it's ready. So yeah, so download it now. Give it a try, and let us know your experiences and what you want to see next, because FME is never done. And one of the true things that Dale and I both miss is we used to be on the road a lot, and we would meet, clients and customers and friends, and and you guys are doing all the magic work, and we want to support that. And so at a conference, people would come up, we'd have lots of great discussions, both at the conferences and after at dinner and things like that. And the world tour was also a great way to meet just thousands and thousands of customers. And so we missed all that. So now, we're doing lots of webinars, but please do embrace us and engage with us. And we're always happy about that.
Yep. And of course, come one, come all, May 4th through 14th. Now, I think that our main part of the fair is the first 3 or 4 days of that. And actually, Don and I got to see the customer talks that are going to be featured during the main part, and they are fantastic.
Yeah.
The great thing about you'll have a chance to catch them live with the presenters to do some Q&A, but you can binge watch them afterwards. So that's a bit unlike if it was an actual real event, so in-person event. So anyway, I'm pretty blown away by the content that's going to be there, and should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was talking with Mark Ireland this morning. He's in the Winnipeg area. Well, I'm going to say the Manitoba area, and we were both discussing how the favorite part of the World Tour and the user conference and the World Fair is the user stories. It's just great to see all the amazing problems that users use FME to solve. There's also, Safe will do some tips and tricks and some latest updates, and looking to the future, but really the highlight is the amazing user stories. And Dale and I and a few others at Safe got to see them yesterday, and it's just wow. It's just
Yeah. So you'll want to finish binge watching whatever series you're on Netflix and clear some space in your viewing calendar for the first couple of weeks of May, because they really, like, actually one of the saddest things for me when we have, let's say, FME user conference is that I can't go and see all the talks. I have to one, but with this kind of a format, we will be able to see them all. So that's going to be very, very wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And there's prizes, of course, and you can win swag and that kind of stuff.
But like Whack the Transformer, is there a game like that?
I think there probably is, yeah. And again, the roller coaster, you can see the roller coaster there, because this FME is really about speed, data volume, being able to do things faster than ever before. And some people, maybe it's so fast it is scary, but it certainly gets my adrenaline pumping when I use FME 2021. Yeah,
exactly. You run that point on area overlay and then hold on for dear life because it's so fast.
Absolutely.
So anyway, thank you so much. As Don said, we're going by faith here that I can't check, but Don's sun is shining, so it must be up.
Yeah, it's got to be there. The team said it'd be there, and you can see the Zipster and the Lizard. They're wearing their capes now. They're feeling pretty. The Lizard needs to do a little bit more working out. I'm going to say his arms look a little bit skinny, but we'll leave him at that. And of course, if you want to learn about and follow us and learn about all the great stuff that's going on at Safe, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's Instagram. So follow us on all of them, and then you'll be able to follow and learn about all the great stuff that we're doing. We're super active on there, so yeah.
Yes, and if any of you are on Clubhouse, let us know. I'm on Clubhouse, but I don't know what to do, Don. I know you're on TikTok and you don't barely know what to do either. So
yeah, but it's TikTok's a very friendly environment, Dale. I got to tell you. I mean, I make my bar is very low, but having said that, some of my videos don't even make it through my threshold, and people are like, "Great video, I liked your video." Or anyway, so yeah, and let us know what social that you're on too, because that helps us. Because of course we want to go where you are, and but it's great fun.